degrees. And you think, oh, well, that's great. 28 degrees does not mean indefinitely. Does not mean it can survive at 28 for a week, right? That means it can go to 28 and then hopefully rise back above 32 the following day, okay? Our biggest problem in Houston, the only problem we typically have to worry about with these trees is when we have a 24-hour period of below freezing, right? If we have the night dips, that's fine. It's going to come back up, sun's going to come back up, the trees are not going to flinch. When we get to below 28 at night, like 25, and the next morning it's 28 at 9, it's 30 at noon, 32 barely, and then back dipping down again, that's the danger zone. That's when you need to do work, okay? So the reason I like to tell people about this is because it's not that much work, okay? Especially if you keep your trees small. Now, one of the things to think about, I have this tree, it's beautiful. The cold is coming. It's going to be difficult for me to cover it properly, which it's not. However, if it is, right, you have one of two options. You cut the tree, prune it, to make it easier to cover. If you don't cut the tree and cover it, it's going to die to the ground. So every year, I cut roughly, in the last 4 years, since 2021, I roughly every year now am pruning about 30-something trees, at 6 feet high. Some of them are 15 feet right now, and I will just cut them off if I have to and cover it. And I'll still get fruit every year. Because the roots, fruit trees, again, when you cut a fruit tree, those roots are so happy that you've eliminated all of that growth that they even get more strong. And then the next season, you'll see more growth and more fruit production. So it's kind of a win-win. You just have to be willing to go out there and cut your tree and cover it during these few days. I do classes on how to do this. We do like hands-on at my site, how I do it. So we usually do it around December when it is chilly, so that people can really see what I do. It's not difficult. I've never lost anything except for things that I left out to die. Okay, so I just want to go through some of these with you. Maybe you've heard of some. Jabuticaba. Mango, a lot of people think mango can't be grown here. Mango is super easy to grow. I wish, if I had another life, I would be a mango farmer in Houston, Texas, and you would be one of the wealthiest people in this city. Guaranteed. It should be done. Now, that being said, you would grow the Florida dwarf varieties, okay? They stay small, extremely productive. They love our heat. They love our soil. If you think about it this way, the mango is related to poison ivy, right? So it's very strong. Very, very, very durable tree. It just doesn't like to be below 28. Once they're big, they can handle 28 for a dip at night. I don't do anything, and they're good. Okay? So that's a good thing. When you get below in that 25 dip, you need to go out there and protect them. If you had a tunnel, a high tunnel, I would fill it with mango trees. Mangoes go for anywhere from $8 to $20 a pound, right, during mango season here in Houston. And people buy them. They sell out like this overnight. Linda's Tropical Fruits brings them in from Florida. She brings them in from Mexico. She brings them in from Thailand, and they're gone, right? Someone should do it. So any of the Eugenia varieties, I really like these. These are small hand-to-mouth fruits. They can go into the bottom of like 20 degrees, some of them. I've grown a lot and tested a lot to see what I know is true and talk to my friends. However, most people that grow these are in Florida and California. So they do get cold too sometimes, but there's just still nuances to things, right? So we all are testing and all talking. This is really good, and we can talk more about that. Citrus, of course, used to be Houston's gangbuster fruit, right? Before 2021, you saw citrus across our city. That was the fruit you saw. And because you saw that fruit, everyone planted that fruit. That's kind of the thing, right? When you see fruit growing in your city, you think, oh, I want to grow one of those too. 2021 freeze, for those of you that were here, remember driving around with the dead citrus everywhere. You saw them everywhere, and it was really sad. Dr. Bob still recommends keep trying to plant them. He thinks it'll still be viable, as time goes by. That being said, they can handle a lot of cold, right? They're not a below 32 crop. They're anywhere from the kumquats that I brought in that Nagami handled 19 degrees with no cover and didn't flinch. I don't know how. The Meiwa doesn't like to be that cold. The Satsumas can be cold. The orange is not as cold, right? So there's like these variances, okay? Citrus is still a good crop. And if you have the dwarf varieties, if you get a dwarf rootstock, I have an orange tree that's this tall and it's 9 years old. And it puts on about 50 oranges, right? So when it gets cold, that's not a big deal. I just wrap it up, cover it in hay, whatever I have to do, and it's done. And then I just go inside and start a fire, right? Bananas, again, used to, if you had a Gulf Coast variety, the stalks would not get damaged until about 22 degrees, which is not very common for us. So bananas typically were something you could get a crop from. I haven't had a good crop since 2020. I haven't every year because it takes a year for it to do its thing and push out again. I have seen crops around town that have done it. I just had to have it with mine. But before that, historically, you could get them, right? So again, it's still a hit or miss. Cattleya guava, it's a type of small, kind of a wild guava. Does very well in the mid-20s again. It's one of those trees, if it gets below 25, I just cut it off and cover it. It grows back every year like a weed. It's one of those that gives you hundreds of fruits.
Which one is that?
The Cattleya guava. There's a yellow and a red. Both very productive. Everybody likes them. It's a hand-to-mouth fruit. Yeah. Longan. So I've grown longan here, and before 2021, I saw multiple giant longans around town. I saw one on White Oak Bayou, way big, way old, that did die in 21. But again, can handle some cold. Guabiju is a new fruit to look at. It can handle some pretty severe cold. So mine sat out at 12 degrees with just a little leaf damage. So it's viable for that. Does not like to be in our full sun, right? So with some western shade, right, for it. Okay? Really, I'm not sure if you've heard of a pineapple guava. It's what you sometimes see it labeled as here. Very good crop for here. The only problem is the varieties that you tend to get in Texas or in Houston are not that good. You do need to outsource to the California varieties. And a lot of that cultivation has come from New Zealand to get a really big fruit. But again, kind of a fuss-free tree. They don't respond well to extreme drought. They'll die. But they get big, very productive. Cold's not a problem. A great hedge. If you want to hedge, if you want a wind block at your farm, I would be doing Fioa and Silverberry hedges. Because productive, cold tolerance is nothing. Heat's not that bad as long as you're watering. And you could get a lot out of that. And people love those too. Okay. I don't know where we are on time. There's some Jabuticabas. I think they're great. Again, I already talked kind of about 25 degrees. Cold tolerance is what I look for with any tree. It needs to at least get to that for me. I don't really like something that says below 32, right? And remember, the biggest difference for me in growing is 33 and 32, right? I don't. If it's 33 outside, I don't do anything. I don't care. The trees need to feel what 33 feels like and get ready, right? 32, I'm looking at the length of time, right? 28, I'm really looking at the length of time. 25, I'm probably getting ready to cover, right? So I'm watching the weather and I'm looking at those increments, right? Of how hard it's getting, right? And the length of time.
How do you know how long for each type of tree? Is it researchable or something?
Yeah, there's a really good resource that I use a lot, which is called the Tropical Fruit Forum. It's very old. There's like 2,000 people on there. It's old, like analog-y forum. But yeah, that's a good place to like source and talk to people all over the world. Like I get a lot of my plants out of Argentina, out of Misiones and seeds and things, and there's all sorts of things that happen there. But yes, people are documenting and experimenting and taking photos and then posting and talking about it. Like, hey guys, this tree did this. Hey guys, this baby did this. And wow, right? And so I do that a lot too.
Tropical Tree Forum.
Yeah, Tropical Fruit Forum is a fabulous resource for this information. Now the difference between the rare fruit farmer or grower and an actual farmer is really simple, right? Most of the people that you would encounter on there, that's what I call trophy growers. They're growing crazy fruits because they want to grow the crazy fruit and get the trophy, right? For people that want to produce and do something with it, it's different, right? You don't always want to pick the rarest stuff unless it's for you. You do that for you, right? But not for production, typically. This is a natal plum. This is a great plant, but I wouldn't recommend it for production. So this is one site where I'm wrapping up plants here in the winter. This is below 25. Here's with snow on that site. This is me opening them up above 36. So again, people see and read about this process, and it's like, oh, I'm in Michigan. Can I do this? No, it's not going to work because you're going to have to do this for weeks, right? In Houston, you can keep a tree covered. I've seen up to 5 days. It's not going to affect the tree, right? 2021 was the worst I think I ever saw. It was like 3 full days of below, whatever it was. And there was no damage because of the covering or the burying. Does anybody know what the state fruit of Texas is? What's the state fruit? No one ever knows. Okay.
I would guess grapefruit.
It's a grapefruit.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a grapefruit. And we have our own variety. Yeah, it's the Rio Red. Nobody ever.
Yeah, because I know in the South.
The Valley.
Yeah, Valley. That was
Valley. So during 2021, in the Valley, where they grow citrus like you wouldn't believe, they also got hit by cold. These are serious citrus farmers, okay? Like one of the biggest areas on the planet that grows that amount of citrus. They went in there. So these farmers knew what was coming, and they hadn't seen this in such a long time. And the videos and the footage is mind-blowing. They had, grapefruit trees this big around and beautiful trees. What they did, they went in there with chainsaws and they cut every limb off the grapefruit tree. It was a stump with some arms. They took plywood, okay? They took plywood, 4x8 sheets, and built boxes around the trunks. Then they front-end loaded soil and buried the trunks. These entire farm fields look like just boxes all down these rows. And all their trees survived. So they knew what to do. And in that scale, the only thing you could do is bury them.
For the cold?
For the cold. It was fine. And that's when we lost that production for a year. They had to wait for all that to grow back. And now it's been a couple of years and they're fine again. But if you see that, that's like the concept you're practicing on a smaller scale.
They did that in 2021?
Yeah, during Uri, yeah.
And they decided that was financially
Was their only
feasible.
was their only option. We lost a lot of farmers during that time, but that was the only option they had. And the older ones knew, right?
Where was that? What farm?
All of South Texas.
Oh, okay.
All of the Valley.
You
So
said
Harlingen, Kingswood, like everything down there where they grow all that
you
stuff.
called it Uri?
Yeah, that was the storm.
Oh, yeah.
They
Okay.
called it Uri. There's also the smudge pots. We all seen smudge pots. You can Google search for smudge pot. It's basically like this is old school, but it was like a dome, like a pipe. Sometimes they're like 18-inch pipe. And the bottom of the pipe is diesel fuel. And basically you light it up and it's a fire in there. And they would set these out all through the orchards. And so there's like smoke and it's really gross, soot everywhere. But that's how California and Florida protected their orchards historically. The past hundreds of years. The photographs of it are just these beautiful, spooky images of smudge pot farming. So there's like these concepts of that people utilize heat in different ways to do this. It can be done, and sometimes it has to be done if you want to grow some fruit. Papaya, again, another one that's fairly easy to do. I always hear people complaining about how they can't get their papaya through the winter. It's a very simple process. You take a machete, you cut it off right before the freeze, you cover it, and what it does is it'll grow multiple trunks right after the freeze, and you'll get more fruit. And it's low. Yeah.
When you have your papaya in the winter,
It's not really good for containers. And I'll talk about that in just a second. I'll go faster. Star fruit, if you get the dwarf variety, look, This is the kind of tree here that I would again recommend growing. It's giving me a yield like every 2 months, year round.
What did you say about the papaya again?
Yeah. Papaya is super easy here. Okay, I know that people don't think that. What people do when they grow papaya in the ground here is they let it get tall, a freeze comes, it dies, and they go, oh, that didn't work. Every year, for like 7 years in a row, I would grow papayas. And if it didn't get cold, great. If it did, I don't care how big it was. I would just take my machete and just go like this across. Maybe it's this tall. What happens, the top of the papaya will be hollow. Okay? And you're like, that's not good if it rains. So I would take a cup like this, take anything, cover the top, put a rubber band around it to keep water from going in there, right? And fortunately, before we get a cold front, a freeze, typically it comes with rain, which is good for the soil and good for the plants to be wet. But we don't want water going in that cut plant. So you cover it, and all you have to do then is wrap your trunk up. That's it. Put a sleeping bag over it. Put some burlap around there and tie it up. Put some hay there. Put bags of leaves over it. As long as you just insulate that one trunk. Once the freeze is over, you take all that off and just wait. Just wait. Eventually, it will do this. It will start to create multiple branches. And this method worked every single year without fail. Every single year. I just stopped doing it because I've got other things in that space. And it works.
Is there a variety of papaya that you like?
Okay, so Babaco, which is also called mountain papaya, you can source them through the net. It has more cold tolerance and they come round.
Sorry, which is mountain what?
Mountain papaya.
Mountain papaya or Babaco. For here, that's a really good one because it does have more cold tolerance, hence mountain. A lot of times when I'm looking at fruit trees, I'm looking for things that thrive in high elevations, and that tells me it's more cold tolerant, right? If it's coming from Brazil or Argentina, I'm looking for elevation growth. That tells me cold tolerance. But again, you can do this with any papaya. The cool thing about papaya too, for our region, papayas, first of all, most fruits don't have this problem anymore because they've been cultivated to be different, but most papayas are male or female, right? So you have one that's going to produce fruit and one that's not. However, when papaya reaches a length of time over 95 degrees, they become hermaphrodite. So typically what will happen is you'll cut your papaya, it'll start growing, it'll start flowering, and you'll be like, dang, it's male. Wait till June or July. Once we get anywhere near 100, it just starts producing fruit. So it does that on its own. So it's really good for Houston to not have to worry about having your different papayas. Every tree will hermaphrodite once it gets hot. And so that's why I'm always like, papaya is not hard. It's just not. I just got burned out of it. Oh, I wanted to try something new. Star fruit again. This tree is it's producing right now at my house. It would produce. Is it the same in Malaysia? Do they just produce all the time?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. This is not a tree like an apple that you harvest and you got to wait a year. This thing it's flowering right now. It's got fruit. I'm bringing it to the office. It's got fruit that's set. It's just a cycle of fruiting. So if you had a dwarf variety, again, I cut this very hard every year because of these recent colds, but you could grow these in a tunnel here, no problem. And it's so productive. Hundreds of fruits on one tree. So if you had, 4 trees in this amount of space, that's a lot of fruit that you could have year round, especially if you had a way to kind of keep it a little warm. White sapote, won't talk too much about it. So this is where you run into problems. So a lot of trees you can keep small. Some trees want to be a 60, 70 foot tree. So this is a very old white sapote that the trunk is quite big. It wants to be a big tree. It's going to be a big tree eventually. I can only keep cutting it so many years and raising up how far I'm willing to protect it before I'm just done. And then maybe I will try one day to just cut it like 4 feet and see if it won't just come back. But I do like the fruit enough. So the fruits for me, it is a heavy producer here. It is one of those, it's more like citrus. It takes 9 months to ripen. Kind of annoying, right? And it does take up a lot of real estate. So you have to manage on your own what your space looks like and what you want to do. right?
What is it like? I've never heard of a white.
White sapotes. So the sapote family is like a soft fruit family, right? A Casamarilla edulis, and a lot of fruits are called sapotes when they're soft and they don't really know where else to classify them.
Okay.
So like an avocado is to me like a sapote,
Okay.
but it has its own family. And what they do is they put them all in that category, and then eventually they'll figure out where it goes.
Okay.
So it's like the texture of an avocado, a little more like pudding.
Okay.
I always think of an avocado as like pudding too. It just doesn't have that sweetness. This is like vanilla custard kind of vibe. Like yeah, really good fruit. Okay, so let's talk about pots. Pot growing is easy. This is a mango tree here, a dwarf mango in a 25-gallon. I still have this tree. This tree's like 12 years old in that pot, right? And it puts on, in some years, 50 fruits, in some years, 20. Doesn't take up much space.
How big is the pot?
It's a 25-gallon. That's
25
the most I
gallon.
would ever recommend going. I'm recommending that. Don't go any bigger. Have I gone bigger? Yes.
Why?
The reason I recommend only 25 is for mobility.
Oh, to move it.
You and a friend can move that tree. You and a dolly can move that tree, right? Once you go to the 45-gallon, you start getting yourself into a little bit of issues with mobility. And sometimes those trees in that size can get too big, and then you're just dealing with an animal you don't want to deal with. If the purpose is to keep it in the pot so that you can move it and protect it, right?
Do you prefer that to in the ground tree?
I mean, the mango, no, you can pull it off in the ground if you have the right ability to do it. So sometimes when you run out of space is really when I would go to this. And, growing in the pot.
Can you just back up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe explain like why do some in pots?
So there's a couple things to think about with growing in pots. Some trees, like papaya, it's not going to do it in the pot. It needs too much root structure, okay? And that's where you need to know what trees can what trees can fruit in a pot and what trees are just not going to fruit in the pot. The white sapote, there's no way it's going to fruit in the pot. As soon as you have it in the pot, it reaches the capacity. It feels like overnight. It's ready to grow out, right? You put that pot on soil, it's going to grow. It's going to tear the pot up, right? Now the Java Cava, a 10-year-old Java has a root system like this deep. You can grow in a pot, I think, for 30 years, I've read. And people have been growing Javas in 25-gallon pots literally for 30 years. So some trees don't mind being root-bound, and they don't mind that, right? And you can also, this is something you could easily read. Unfortunately, a lot of the temperate trees, apples, peaches, plums, jujube, like they don't want to be in a pot, right? But those trees are okay for Houston. So, and again, sometimes like I'm growing mangoes in pots, dwarf varieties only, for the purpose of I don't have more space. But when trees disappear, it'd be a great time to plug one of these old bad boys in, right, to the ground and give them that love.
It will grow?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you will get way more fruit. I mean, you can just see here, though, there's a way to prune certain trees, too, so you can get a higher production, a higher yield. And it's a way for me to test the possibility of how to do that.
Mm-hmm. If you planted a mango tree, because they get huge, how do you...
So you would want to go with a Florida dwarf variety.
Okay.
Right? Would be my opinion.
Okay.
There are a couple naturalized dwarf, the coggshall, which I do have in the ground. Yeah. And that, again, is 10 years old, and it's only 15 feet, and I cut it back sometimes, but it's very small, right? Yes, certain mangoes, they want to be 60 foot too. Mm-hmm. You don't want that variety. You won't be able to do this.
And you're getting a lot of fruit, like 50 fruit.
50 fruits on this tree, that specific year, yeah. Mm-hmm. Occasionally I'll get 10. Mm-hmm. Just depends on, sometimes things go wrong, right? And it drops all the fruit. Maybe I didn't take care of my soil that year. Maybe I didn't remove it. Maybe I went out of town and someone didn't water that specific. Well, there's so many to water, sometimes people miss.
Can you talk about soil care for mango trees and like?
I can talk about soil care for potting.
Okay.
I grow almost everything, no matter what it is, in about 100% peat, a splash of perlite, and I like to use Hollytone organic acidic fertilizer mixed in. And that's really it. Now, that's for making my mix. For potting specifically, it just tends to work with. It's a very universal mix. No compost, no sand, no clay, nothing thick for the pot. However, if you're growing a lot of pots and you're doing this, it's not bad to use like the pelleted slow release Osmocote fertilizer that you throw in there. You buy it's like a little pellet. Because that's the slow release of that, you put it in the spring, and if you're managing something else, like that's a really easy managing system to utilize that. I don't really use it. I don't need to. I'm at home doing this. I'm not trying to also do other things for those. But I would highly recommend that because it works. That's what big nurseries are going to use. Mm-hmm. You'll see all those little pellets in there when you buy the trees in nurseries because it'll make that fruit work really well. Where are we at on time? Okay, I just wanted to show you this little book. It's called Grow a Little Fruit Tree. It's a cute little book. Ann Ralph totally changed my mind on like how to really grow a small fruit tree. Fabulous, easy to get a hold of, easy to read. I'm pretty sure it's in multiple languages too. But this is her showing you this tiny, like 30-year-old apple tree that produces a lot of fruit. And we talk about why. Why do it and how to do it. There are some techniques to keeping trees very small, like bonsai. People, or like when to prune. I summer prune. Some people fall prune here. I don't recommend it. I summer prune for different reasons. We talk about that.
So you summer prune and winter prune?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I did. Yes. Okay. I'm going to let Eddie talk for just a minute. Are we okay on time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to let Eddie talk for a minute on, I'll let him introduce himself and everything.
Okay, hi guys. Okay, maybe just introduce myself first. So my name is Easy Eddie. It looks difficult to pronounce, but it is actually just Easy Eddie. But you can call me Eddie. I don't mind. So I am actually from Malaysia, and I'm just here for a short while, just for 3 months. I'm connected with Urban Harvest under this program called Community Solutions Program. It's a program under US Department of State, and actually Planet Forward also can ask to have a fellow with your organization maybe next year. Yeah. Because with Urban Harvest we have two, me and another person from Bolivia. So I'm here back in Malaysia. I'm mostly working with communities, garden and farms. We support mostly indigenous people in Malaysia. They live in remote areas, and we have a lot of problem with human-wildlife conflicts. So my game there is more like trying to be resistant to that threat, something like that. So in Malaysia, I'm not only doing vegetable farming, so I also do agroforestry, rice farming. You can see here like this is originally the villagers there, they intended to just grow rubber trees. So we came to meet them and then asked, why just rubber tree? Why not we have more stuff there? And then we have banana and then more vegetables. But this system, it was designed to survive just for 6 years. It's a medium term planning because after 6 years, when the rubber tree canopy already grow big, the banana production will be a bit low. And here in a organic rice farm, sometimes we have farmers from surrounding countries like Vietnam and Thailand. They came to visit us to learn about how we do it organically, because there are not many people doing organic rice in Malaysia. It's like only 2 to 3 different places, and also in Southeast Asia, not that many. And I also run a coalition of seed savers. It's called Community Seed Reserve Initiative. So this is like a national program. I travel all across the country to organize to gather everyone to be in this coalition. We have like 120 seat savers all across the country convened under our coalition. So, okay, back to the topic. Do you consider to add fruit trees to your farm? I consider everyone here already have a farm, like vegetable farm. That's what I vision. So this strategic planning is more for an area that you already have your vegetables there. So before we go towards that, we just need to show you like a guide how we should look when we want to add more trees on our land. So like here in permaculture, we always refer to forest garden. That means if you want to add a new tree there, that means it's not just adding a plant, but it's actually we are trying to create an ecosystem. But for a farming setup, it won't be looking as a forest, but it's more in the rows because we want to ease the maintenance later on. And the tree species that being explained by Randall before this, I think we talk more about the medium tall trees and understory. Because that is more easier to manage. And we can have also tall trees, but you need quite a large area to do it. Okay, the first thing is that you need to prioritize to add fruit trees on the west side of your farm. It doesn't matter if it's your farm or it's a building, because we want to create like a microclimate, more softer climate for the plants, so that we want to block it from the afternoon sun. Afternoon sun is is very
Harsh.
very harsh to the plant. So it will provide shade and also act as a windbreak because most of the prevailing winds are coming from the west as well. So you can see it's like very bright here. So if we put trees along here, so it will be less harsh than that. And then like this, plant fruit trees in rows in between your vegetables. So for example, before this you don't have this, maybe it's all vegetables, so you just add in between. So to add in between, there are several families that I can recommend, because I don't know much about the local species here, so I just know about the general family. Like here in this picture you can see like this is a very tall tree. I think this is a legume, because this is from my friend. So what they do is they will chop this tree and then just put it there on the ground to feed this plant in the middle here. Like for example, like this one. So they have taller trees. For example, if you want to have the gummy berries and also papaya, you can put them along here.
You could pull off a peach that way.
Peach as well in this setup. Like this one, just because we want to diversify the production. Choose small or dwarf tree species. You can add additional support species later. Like for the banana, it's actually a very good biomass also. Like this one, when we always keep only one plant per clump of banana. Like here, when we have extra, they just cut the trunk and lay it down there for your steps, for your that's,
Like for the row path?
for the path, so that you can
And you just let it decompose?
let it decompose. And also you can use the banana trunk as a mulch for your fruit trees, because they will decompose
Fast.
not quite fast, but they can hold the water there, moisture around the base of the plant. The traditional way in Malaysia is that's how indigenous people been doing. Like how they want to. Usually they practice. They plant it there and then they just leave to other area. So they put this banana trunk on the ground by the fruit trees that they want to harvest later on.
control.
Yeah. So in Malaysia, we went to this extent. You can see here, this is eggplant. Eggplant here, this is the baby eggplant. So in between, we have this,
Pineapple.
pineapple, banana, and then also bigger trees here. But this is, for me, it's too extreme for beginner. You can start with smaller plants first, or just target one or two for the market. Like example, Satsuma citrus, Satsuma citrus, and then the gummy berries, and then also papaya. It's easier to maintain this way. And when you do it in a row like this, and you keep it small, so when you want to cover it, you can actually just cover it straight, one row at one time. So it's easier to manage when we do it in a row like this. We are obviously evergreen, so we can do like that. Yeah. So here maybe there's like, you need to know, like, not letting it to grow that big.
Right. Depending on the variety.
Depending on the variety, correct. And the third one is like fruit trees at the border of your farm.
Right.
This is usually being done, not fruit trees. Usually we use trees for fodder for animals. But if you want to add as a border, you need to be inside the farm boundaries, so that you will not lose your fruit to other people later. And you can also easier for pest control later on, because when you put it in between the vegetables, maybe they will have different interaction between the insects. If you want to have an easier management with the insect, you can put it just by the border of your farm, set off together with all of the vegetables. Okay, that's all from me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Randall or for Eddie before we move on to the next thing?
Could I?
Of course.
Could I? Oh, yeah.